So let's begin by making the kaleidoscope for the pumpkin. I have Dazzling Reflections open. I've imported the photograph that I'll be using to make that kaleidoscope. So now I need to go over to the templates, click once to select KSO2, go back over to my photograph, double click quickly, and you can see that that image has now filled the template. When I click on the master segment, I can click and hold and freely move that image around inside the template. Every time I release the mouse, you can see a new image is generated. I can also rotate the image if I wish, and I can increase and decrease the size. So you would just keep doing this until you get an image that you like. And that's a beautiful kaleidoscope right there. So if I want to use this one to make my pumpkin, I need to export it as a PNG file. To do this, go up to the File menu, select Export. I'll leave it at the defaults. Click OK. Select the folder or location where you would like to save it. So I've got that right there. I'm also going to change the file type to PNG. And this means that the area surrounding the circle will have a transparent background. Then I'm going to give it a name. And I'll call this one Pumpkin Scope. Click Save, and now this kaleidoscope has been saved as a PNG image, and we can use this in Photoshop or any other graphics program. Okay, so let's get to the fun part and let's make this pumpkin from the kaleidoscope. So I've got Adobe Photoshop Elements open. And you can see here I've already opened up the kaleidoscope that we made in Dazzling Reflections. So the next thing I need to do is create a new document. So I'll go up to File, select New, Blank File, and I've set mine at 4 inches by 4 inches, 300 dpi with a transparent background. So I'm going to click OK, and there's my new document. First thing I'm going to do is drag and drop that kaleidoscope onto the new document. Now with that selected, I'm going to use this little box on the corner or on the side, click and hold, and push it into an oval. Click the green check box. Then I'm going to right click, left click on Edit Layer Style. I'm going to add a drop shadow. I'm going to bevel, and I'm also going to add a stroke. Now on the stroke slider bar, I'm just going to increase that to probably about here, but I want to change the color. So I'll click on that box, and with the eyedropper tool, I'm going to select a color within the kaleidoscope, and then I'll probably lighten it up just a little bit. Right there, click OK, and then I'll go up to drop shadow again, click on the distance bar and slide that slowly until I see a shadow appear. And now that those options are applied, I'll click OK. Next step is I need to duplicate this layer twice. So the keyboard shortcut for that is Control and the letter J. So I'm going to hit that twice. Now I have 3 identical layers. The top layer will be the top. This is the layer below that, and then this is the layer below that, or the bottom layer. Now I need to be able to move these independently, but keep them in alignment. The best way to do that is click on the Auto Select Layers box and make sure that that is off. Now if I need to select a layer, I need to do it from the Layers panel. So I'll leave the top layer as is, click on the second layer, click and hold, and move that to the right. Okay, so I've done that. Now make a note of this reference point on the kaleidoscope, because on the bottom layer, you're going to look for that same reference point as you push it to the left. And there we go. So now you've got all 3 layers dispersed into a pumpkin shape. Now you can go ahead and check the Auto Select Layers option again so that that's back on. Before I move to the next step, I'm going to leave this bottom layer selected, hold down my Shift key, click on the top layer, right click, left click on link layers. Now I can move these around as one piece, and I can also resize them. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller, bring it more towards the bottom of the page, and click to confirm that action. We need to add a new layer, so I'll click on the very top layer, click on New Layer, go over to my Tools panel, and I need the Polygonal Lasso tool. If you don't see it, click on the menu until you find it and select it. Then I'm going to click once, and that starts my first line. Drag down, click again, so each time I click, it starts a new line for me. And then I'm going to close it up. If it doesn't automatically close when you get to the last part, double click and it will close for you. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to fill that with black. And then I'm going to hit Control and the letter D, and that deselects it. I want to make a few changes to this, so I'm going to use Control T, and that will give me the free transform option. Hold down your Control button again, and with your mouse you can click on any of the corners, and now you can start to move this around into a better shape. It gives you just a little bit more options here. So maybe do something like this, and like that. Okay, so that's pretty good right there. Now the next step is I'd like to fill that with some digital paper that I have. So I've still got the layer selected. I'll drag and drop that paper on top. And with that layer selected, hit Control and the letter G. And that forms a clipping mask. So basically it fills that shape with the digital image. And at this point you can resize that paper so you can get the texture that you like. So I've got all that in place. It's still selected. I'm going to use my Shift key and select the stem that we physically drew. Right click, and this time I'm going to left click on Merge Layers. Then I'm going to right click again, Edit Layer Style, and add a drop shadow. Okay. Now if you would prefer that this be behind the pumpkin, you would simply take that layer, drag and drop it below the pumpkin layer, and there it is. Now what I've done is I'd had some other digital elements, some leaves and a little swirl, and I've combined those together just and put them in one piece to add as an embellishment to this pumpkin. So it's a great way to be able to use some of the other digital elements that you have in other kits. So just resize this. Again, you can rotate. You can add a drop shadow if you prefer. So let me select this first. Edit Layer Style, Drop Shadow. And now you can see we've got a beautiful custom-made pumpkin made from a Dazzling Reflections Kaleidoscope. So how could you use this? Well, the first thing I would say is save this as a Photoshop file so that it's completely editable, and then save it as a PNG file, and that way you would treat it just like any other digital element that you have. So let me give you a couple of examples. We'll just assume that I've already saved this as a PNG file, and I've been working on a scrapbook layout, and I'd like to add this pumpkin to it. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the very top layer and select that, then click on the pumpkin and drag and drop it right onto my layout, resize it, and then I can add a drop shadow if I wish. So there's a great application. Or if you'd like to make cards, you can do the same thing. Click on that very top layer, drag and drop the pumpkin, make this one a little bit smaller, and now you have a custom card. So I hope you've enjoyed this presentation.